Hello, it's Mel from Movement and Youth Fitness Coaching. Today I'm going to present to you some beginner core workouts. So a lot of people always ask me, I don't know what to do at home, I just want to do it to a video. So I thought I'd put something on YouTube so everyone can use it. If you like this, why not subscribe? That way you get notified every time I upload a new video, because I will put new videos on for different workouts and health tips. Also, try going to my website because I put the blogs on there of my YouTube workouts, so it's all outlined, full information on there, so I don't have to spend too much of your time talking about it. So shoot across to the website and you can download the blog page that outlines the full details of reps and sets for all my workouts that I put on YouTube. Today, beginner core workout. We always start core workout with a few activation exercises. They're like a warm-up for our neural system to connect our brain to our muscles and make sure they activate in a coordinated way. Then we get into the exercises. So it is a beginner core workout, like I keep saying, because I want people to know, those who don't find it hard because they're already intermediate, that's why it's not hard. This is for people who are just starting out or returning to exercise. Activation exercises, here we go. The first one is all about getting the pelvis mobile and moving back and forward. So I'm going to go through it with you. You need to be laying flat on the floor. When we lay flat on the floor, we can put our hands under that little arch in our back. That's called our neutral spine. Nothing wrong with that, perfectly fine. But when we engage our core muscles and want to support our lumbar in an appropriate manner, we need to backward tilt our pelvis, which when we're laying on the floor, we always cue it by saying melting the lumbar into the floor, because we want you to have a smooth exchange of that pelvis into the floor. If you can see closely through the video how my pelvis tilts back, what I want you to do to help yourself learn this is get your thumbs and place them on the back of the bony parts of your pelvis. Place your fingers on the front. Now push up with those thumbs and feel the pelvis tilt backwards, and all of a sudden your lumbar melts into the floor. Now to practice the forward tilt, push down with the fingers. Push in with the thumbs, push down with the fingers. As you get the hang of this and you can feel that you're melting the lumbar nicely into the floor, take your hands away and make the muscles do it, because that's what we want. Ultimately, this is an activation exercise to say, hey, pelvic floor muscles and the rest of the core set muscles, come and kick in and start activating, because we're going to do some exercise. So you'll feel it tighten across that lower abdomen area, and that's how you'll know you're contracting your pelvic floor muscles, with that tightening as the pelvis tilts backwards and your lumbar flattens in. So with that, you do not want to do what we call butt clench. So if you're squeezing your glutes really hard and pushing through your heels to get that pelvis tilted backwards, you're not using your core muscles. So take it nice and slow. It's a gentle, controlled turn on of the muscles as they all coordinate and work together. So your glutes turn on about 10%, maybe 15%, not a whole lot. Everything is a soft, gentle turn on. I'm still holding the position. It's a high endurance muscle that can hold positions for long periods, unless it's a heavy load, of course. But to do something like this, you should be able to hold that position for a couple of minutes before you want to relax and chill out and let it go. So what we do is we hold for a count of 2, relax, straight back into it, hold for a count of 2 and relax. And you do that 10 times. First exercise, tilting the pelvis backwards, activation exercise. All right, so it's not going to fatigue you. You're not going to feel like you're working hard. It's an activation exercise. All right, next activation exercise and final one. Takes it up a notch to really make the muscles engage and connect the neural pathways down to those muscles so they work together. The legs come up. We want the knees stacked over the pelvis. Do not have them over your abdomen because you will not be using any core muscles to do that. You're just using gravity. They need to be over the pelvis. The knees need to be bent at 90 degrees. Don't let them flail around like that. Keep them up at 90. From here, your lumbar now melts into the floor. So that means you've tilted that pelvis backwards and you have a nice flat back into the floor. Hands are down by your side. Then we toe touch to the floor, just one at a time. One. Nice, slow and controlled. The movement comes from the hip. I don't bend my knee to do the movement. It comes from the hip. So it's an arcing motion from the hip. And we do this 6 times on each leg. Now, as you get stronger, by all means, do both legs at the same time so you can really take it up a notch. But that's going to take you about 4 weeks before you get to that level. So we want to take it nice and slow because every time your feet tap to the floor, your lumbar should be melted into the floor. So if you feel your lumbar area lift off the floor, and you can get your hands under there, stop, reset and start again, because otherwise you're not using your core muscles and there's no activation, which is the whole point of that, to teach them to activate so when we do the really hard exercises, they'll kick in for us and we know that we're working the muscles properly and supporting our lumbar spine. All right, time to start exercising. First exercise, you may have seen or heard or done it, it's called the swimmer. So for the swimmer, we're face down. Now with this one, take your time. You'll come up to different heights, but it's really important that you don't hyperextend that back and put pressure on the disc. So hyperextending is like this when you come up too high. So hands are stretched out, legs come together. We're going to softly squeeze those glutes like you've got a 50-cent piece in your bottom crack and you need to hang on to it. And nobody's going to pull it out of there. So squeeze those glutes to hang on to that 50-cent piece. From here, the hands come up off the floor. Your feet come up off the floor. And we do opposite arm to leg. So we lift left to right, right to left, left to right, right to left. Now we're going to repeat this about 6 times on each side while we're holding our body in a plank. Now the emphasis with the legs is don't just bend your knee. The knee stays locked. I lift the whole leg up off the floor from the hip joint. Keep that knee locked. It's not a knee bend exercise, okay? So keep that knee joint locked. Lift from the hip. Lift from the shoulder. Arm stays locked. Leg stays locked. Nice work. All right, that's the first one, the swimmer. For the next exercise, we're going to do heel touches. So this is all about moving through that lateral plane. We need to ensure we have a really balanced program that stimulates all of the planes of movement we're supposed to move through so we can stabilize our spine and pelvis and know that we're doing things safely. Now, heel touches. This is where I need to just talk to you about your neck, especially for beginners, because when you're a beginner, one of the big things that turns people off, and may have happened to you, and they give up doing core work, is neck pain when you do exercises. Now that neck pain is not a bad pain, it's just the muscles being weak. Sure, maybe you've got an injury and it is a bad pain, but most of the time, if you have no injury, that neck pain is because your muscles are weak and they just need to get stronger, which means you need to progress your core exercises based on your neck strength. So we focus on getting the neck strong first and then the core will start to get a workout. So that way we don't cause you neck pain and you keep doing your core exercises and don't give up on them because you're turned off from the neck pain. So with that being said, when we set up on our back for exercises that we're lifting the trunk, a little tool that often helps you to stop doing headbang. We call it headbanging because what happens is you start lifting your head like this off the floor. And that is what creates neck pain, and long term, it will actually cause an injury to your neck as well. So it wears the discs and all sorts of things. So we want to brace through that neck area. We retract the chin in like so as we lift, and we focus on whether or not we're holding that position. Okay, so if you feel your chin go down and touch your chest as you're lifting your shoulders, reset, because it means you're headbanging and you're going to end up getting a sore neck and you'll give up. And the last thing you should do is give up on core work, because it isn't painful, you just need to work slowly. So let's have a look how these heel touches work. Okay, from here, I retract that chin I talked about. Boom. Next thing, melt the lumbar into the floor. Bring those heels up closer to the bottom. The hands, palms are facing up and stretched out straight. Take those shoulders up. Notice head still in line, all right? No head banging, none of that. Head is in line, chin is retracted. I tilt to the side. Tilting to the side, trying to touch my feet. Now you might not be able to touch your feet in the beginning. You probably won't even get your shoulders up as high as I am. But small steps, as long as you feel the tension going through your abdomen and you're making a sideways movement, goal achieved. In time, you will develop the strength and you will improve and be able to lift higher and lift further to the side. So the next step in this exercise is to focus on how many you're going to do. Now to start with, if you are one of those people I talked about that have neck discomfort when you're doing exercises, I'd only do about 4 to 5. Whereas in my blog, I've said about 6 to each side. So if you're one of those people that have neck discomfort when you're exercising, stick to about 4 to 5. Or let the discomfort be your guide. As soon as you start to feel your neck getting uncomfortable, that's when you stop. All right, palms facing up. Lift those shoulders. That's 1, 2, 3. And I'm breathing the entire time. 5, last one, 6. Easy, right? Down we go. Have a rest. We'll do the next set. Okay. For the next exercise, we're turning ourselves back over. So notice how we keep changing position, front, back, working sideways, working through the frontal plane. This is all really important with a core workout. So, quadruped, or some of you may know it as bird dog. Setup, once again, is really important. We want those knees underneath the pelvis. We want the hands directly underneath our shoulder. From this position, we melt the lumbar into the ceiling. That's right. So we just reverse. We've been melting the lumbar into the floor, but now our back's up facing the ceiling. So that natural C curve we have, we want that to flatten out. So we tilt the pelvis backward and we flatten it up into the ceiling. So rule of thumb is you should be able to get a cup of tea and rest it on that lower back area and it will hold steady there without spilling. Of course, you could always just pour half a cup and that will ensure it as well. But make sure you flatten your back, and you have to hold your back flattened in this position for the entire exercise. The next component, as the arm goes out, because we're going to do bird dog or quadruped, it's known as either, we make a fist and we squeeze that fist hard as we can, and we pull down. So we're squeezing through those big strong lats because the latissimus dorsi helps the core to engage and reinforces it, so to speak, in a manner. It helps it to hold stronger. So we're squeezing down, forming a fist to engage those latissimus dorsi, And the leg isn't going to go high. It's just going to shoot straight out to the back. I'll move a bit more forward so you can see. My leg doesn't gain height. It shoots straight out to a locked position, and the toe points to my nose. All right? We're not doing any pretty ballet moves. We're pointing the toe to the nose. That helps those glutes to engage. It helps the hamstrings to engage. And we hold tight there, counting for 5, whilst maintaining that lumbar spine melted into the ceiling. From here, we relax everything. We bring it back in. We knee tap. Don't cross over the knee. Don't let that knee cross your body. Keep that knee in line. Bring the hand to the knee. And then it goes back out. Squeeze it on again. Hold tight. Maintain that lumbar spine. Melt it into the ceiling. Holding for a count of 5. Then bring it back in. We're going to do this 5 to 6 times. Maintaining that lumbar spine every time. Make sure you try and do this in front of a mirror so you can watch your spine. Squeeze those lats. Hold it tight. Make sure you pay attention to your leg height. The toe is pointing to your nose. You're not clearing the floor a great deal. The glutes are engaged. Everything's holding tight, bringing it in. So ensure you don't do these big Jane Fonda moves like this. We're not looking for that, okay? Follow what I've done in the video. That's what you need to do. Quadruped, amazing exercise for teaching you stability. Next exercise we're going to go on to. We're going to go on to using a fit ball. Now I'll do the fit ball first, and then I'll show you how to do it if you don't have a fit ball. Because some people have a fit ball, and that's another thing they often ask me for is, what can I do on the fit ball? I don't really want to follow the book. I don't understand it. So here's one for the fit ball. If you have it, sit tight, and I will show you how to do it without the fit ball as well. So set up on the fit ball. Now this is using the core muscles, but it's also teaching the ancillary muscles that send feedback to the core and should work with the core to be strong and work in a balanced manner as well. So we're going to get on our side. My knee is bent at 90, as you can see. My leg is straight out. From here, I'm leaning on the ball quite comfortably. I hold this position and make sure I stay completely on my side. For this exercise, just rest your hand across your abdomen. The leg clears the floor a fraction. And then we're going to do circles. We're going to go 6 times in one direction and 6 times in the other and change sides. And we're going to do that without resting back and forth each side. Now it's really important when you do your circles, don't have your foot coming too far forward and don't have your foot coming too far back. It needs to stay virtually in line with your side. Okay? That's really important. Changing sides then, going straight from one to the other. Set yourself up properly. Make sure that knee's at 90-degree bend so it supports you. Hands resting on the stomach. Up goes the leg 6 times. And then 6 times the other way. Making sure your posture's good. So you could run a rod through your head, neck, shoulder, hip. Everything is in line. Make sure your glutes are turned on so your bottom is not sticking out. See how that just changed my posture? It made me dip. See that? So from there, with my glutes turned on, relaxed, I dip backwards. So we don't want that. Now, if you don't have a fit ball, this is how you do that exercise. Lining up, supporting the head, ensuring that your body is perfectly straight. From here, your fingertips only touch the floor. Your core is going to activate more than it does on the ball because we actually have to completely support ourselves like this. So you actually do a bit more work without the ball. And that's why I introduced the ball for that one, to get you a bit of a break because you're beginners, but also for people with the fit ball so they can have an exercise to do because it's still challenging. But from here, fingertips on the floor. I'm in a perfectly straight line. I'm not rolling backwards or forwards. Perfectly straight on my side. leg goes up and it stays there, and I do the circles. Keep them small. It's incredibly challenging without that ball because everything has to fire to keep you stable. Okay, the bottom leg, I'm pushing it into the floor to stabilize myself. Now, as you get stronger and feel comfortable, take that leg off the floor, hand off the floor, and pop it on the side of your leg. You can see how it destabilizes you even more. So it might take you about 3 or 4 weeks to build up to that, but give it a go. All right, 6 times in one direction, 6 times in the other, not bringing the foot too far forward or back, just keeping it nice in the middle, tiny little circles. All right, picture a little tiny polka dot that you're tracing with your leg up and down, round and round, whilst holding your trunk nice and stable and firm. Awesome. For the next one, we're going to look at a curl up. Now, it's not a sit up. We don't do sit ups. It's a curl up. So, why we do curl ups now is because the focus is on engaging the core system to brace the spine. They've done the research. They've done it for more than 30 years, and they found full sit-ups actually load the lumbar spine 4 times as much as doing a curl up and don't yield the results that a curl up does. So, join me in some curl ups. First thing we do, we need to keep that arch in the lumbar spine. So we're not going to flatten the back for this one. We're going to place the hands in that arch. They're not all the way under, just a little. From here, one leg goes out straight. We maintain that, pushing it into the floor just a little because that actually sends feedback to help the core system to stabilize. From here, we're just lifting the head off the floor to feel the tension go through the abdomen. So it'll go a little bit hard. Holding that for 5 seconds and drop it down. Making sure you're breathing the entire time. Now remember that neck. If you get an uncomfortable neck doing core work, retract that chin and focus on keeping the head in neutral. Really important, all right? We're going to do that about 5 to 6 times. There's goals for what you should get up to as you progress, and you should even progress it to 10-second holds from 5 to 10. Down you go. Swap that leg over. Once you've done your 5 to 6 on one leg, swap the leg over, push the heel into the floor a little bit to help brace the core. From there, retract that chin if you have a lot of neck trouble. Lift. It's just a lift to get the head off the floor. We're not trying to get those shoulders off. Holding for 5, and down we go. Now, if your neck's traveling okay, after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, you could take that up to 10-second holds. It's all based on how you feel. Don't push yourself based on where you think you should be. Push yourself based on how your body's reacting to the exercise. Take it slow and steady, and don't cause yourself pain. Exercise is uncomfortable, but it doesn't need to be painful. All right, that's the big take-home message. It doesn't need to be painful. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but not painful. Last one, and then that's your core workout. Done. It's a fit ball bridge. Once again, I've incorporated the fit ball, so people who have them have something to take home and do. And I will show you the option if you don't have a fit ball. So, fit ball bridging. Feet set up is very important with this. So, my feet are shoulder width apart and they're in the middle of the ball. My knees are at a 90-degree bend. So, it means I'm making a nice little L shape. They're stacked over my hips, not my abdomen. Over the hips. That's where you want to keep them. From here, your hands are gently down beside you, nice and relaxed. Now we push into the ball as we squeeze up and make that bridge. Hold it for 2 and then down we go. push into the ball, hold for 2, and down we go. Now, in the beginning, you'll probably get about 4 or 5 of these out, and you won't even get to a full bridge. You may just get to there. All right, that's okay. You've got to start somewhere. But what you do is don't increase your repetitions as you get stronger. Increase how high you're pushing into that bridge. All right, that's the goal. Get to a full height bridge and then increase your repetitions when you can do a full height bridge. Now, if you don't have a fit ball, it's actually a little easier to bridge without a fit ball. So, you'll probably need to do a little more repetitions. But you may still have the same challenge of not being able to go into a full bridge. So bring those heels into your bottom. Hands are resting in the same spot. As you push up, you're going to breathe out. And you hold for a count of 2, ensuring your knees are shoulder width apart. Do not let your knees dip in. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to face the camera. So with your knees, as you push up, do not let them dip in like so. Keep them shoulder width apart. When your knees dip in, your glutes disengage. So we want to ensure that you're using your glutes properly. Push in as high as you can, holding for 2, and lower back down. Hold for 2, and lower back down. All right, nice work. So that is your beginner core workout. Now, if you have the time, 3 times a week is ideal. Spread across the week, not all in one hit. If you're time poor, try to do at least 2 times a week with that program. The other option you can do if you're time poor and you have a little bit of time every day, do half the program each day of the week for 5 of the days of the week. That will also get you a decent amount of core strength. Other than that, if you have any questions, submit them.